One of the biggest hidden blockers I notice that everyone has at one point or another is that they aren't aware of certain assumptions or beliefs they have that are working against them. So they'll tell me, Leanna, I'm doing everything right. My mental diet has been on point. I've been visualizing every day, and I've even managed to ignore normally triggering circumstances in a 3D. So why don't I have my desire yet? And inevitably, assuming that they're being honest with me about having good mental diet, the problem always comes down to some belief or assumption that they didn't realize they had. Because assumptions or beliefs are the upstream root cause of all the thoughts, expectations, feelings, and imaginings that you have. And this is exactly where so many people get stuck. It's not called law of 10,000 affirmations. It's not called the law of mental diet or the law of SATs or the law of feeling even. It's called the law of assumption because an assumption is something that you think to be true, and if you think it's true, it's going to manifest in some way or another. It's really that simple. All of these things do create your reality, yes, but they're downstream from your beliefs and assumptions. So if you're doing all that, affirming, visualizing, mental dieting, returning to feeling, and you still don't have your thing, then it's time to look at your assumptions. Neville Goddard said assumptions become facts. This is actually the title of chapter 2 of Out of This World. And in that book, he says gold nuggets like man's assumptions, which he regards as insignificant, produce effects that are considerable. Assumptions, though unreal to the senses, if persisted in, will harden to facts. If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And Seth, my absolute favorite source teacher, said, you create your reality according to your beliefs and expectations. Therefore, it behooves you to examine them carefully. If you do not like your world, then examine your own expectations. Every thought, in one way or another, is constructed by you in physical terms. Your world is formed in a faithful replica of your own thoughts. Beliefs and assumptions mean the same thing, by the way. You can prove this to yourself by Googling it or just looking them up in a dictionary. But they both mean ideas that you've thought so often or you hold so strongly that you just assume them to be true, when in reality, they're just ideas, not objective facts. And we manifest a sum of all of our beliefs. So say you're manifesting wealth. If you have some unnoticed belief that you're good at your job, but it's hard to make a buck in this world, then these two beliefs are going to oppose. Where your belief in how skilled you are is going to work for you, but then your belief that it's difficult to make money is going to work against you. Now, how much each belief is going to affect your reality is determined by a lot of different factors, such as how strongly you believe in them, how often and deeply you dwell upon them, and how intense your focus or your feelings are about them. And you have to remember that these are just two beliefs, and that beliefs do not operate in a vacuum. So you have a lot of other beliefs going on here too. And there's countless beliefs related to money, but some common ones off the top of my head are education or intelligence increases earning potential, there are fewer opportunities to make money during a recession, or artists will always have to be starving and poor. In the same vein, if you're manifesting SP and you have unnoticed beliefs like I'm not worthy of love, then that's going to become truth in your world. Your SP and your outer world are going to reflect that faithfully. It's hard to put love in a chart, but let's say that your SP has been like hot and cold and hot and cold, and you finally ended up somewhere on, say, lukewarm but won't commit. And you've been affirming that you're attractive, that they like you, you're their type, they can't stop thinking about you, and all those beliefs are going to push this to the top. And you're continuing to visualize a mental diet, and maybe they've even hinted at you that they like you, but now nothing new is happening, and you kind of feel like things have stagnated. Now's a good time to take a close look at your beliefs, because you might have unnoticed beliefs like maybe you think that you're not lovable, or that you're too fat or too skinny, too short or too tall, that you're broken, that third party is prettier than you aren't their type, you always get overlooked, love is hard, SP and their entire gender don't want to commit, or that modern dating is full of games and messed up people. Or maybe you think that you're not attractive or you're not interested and you're good enough. Some others that I've heard are, I always mess things up, I don't deserve happiness, I don't make enough money, and that one I especially see in a lot of men, unfortunately. I'm too shy or too awkward, I'm gonna get ghosted or rejected or misunderstood, or people play too many games today in the dating world. You get the gist. And these will all manifest too, to some degree or another, more strongly if you believe in them more intensely. And even if you don't think about them much, if you believe in them strongly, they will manifest in some form. So for example, I believe that I have arms, I believe that I have cousins, and I believe that I have running water and electricity. I don't focus on these things every day. I don't visualize for them, and I don't affirm for them. But I firmly believe in them, and as a result, these beliefs generate the feelings and expectations and manifest these things every day. Arms, cousins, water, electricity, without doing techniques for them. So those limiting beliefs that are working against you, how do you stop them from blocking your desire? Well, first you need to recognize what they are. You need to be aware of them. And then you either need to discard them or change them. And to change them, you can use the three-pronged technique, which I'll cover later. But the first step is the trickiest part, because so many of us may not notice that we have beliefs blocking us. And this is the one thing that I tend to help people with the most, is noticing a hidden belief from their actions or their words or the thought processes that they weren't even aware that they had. Because to them, it's not a limiting belief, it's just the truth. And so they become blind to it. And if they knew that it wasn't necessarily true, it wouldn't be a belief at all, it would just be an opinion. Now, to become aware of your beliefs, you need to write down all the beliefs that you can think of. So you can do this on a piece of paper, you do this on a note in your computer or your phone, it doesn't matter. We just want to get them down somewhere, written down, because we're going to work with them. Write down as many as you can and write down all of them. So if you find yourself randomly remembering or realizing a belief that you had later, when you're like showering or going for a walk or something, then you want to write that down somewhere. I would also suggest setting the intention or making it a priority to realize every belief you have, because that's going to make them start to come out. Kind of like how you might not notice how many gray birds you see every day or blue cars, but if you make it a point to count them or spot them and note them down, then you can start to see a lot of them. And we want to get every belief down, good and bad. You might be wondering, but Leanna, why can't I just write down beliefs about the area that I'm manifesting in? Why do I have to write them all down? Because although that might work, sometimes the limiting belief that stops a person is only tangentially related to the topic of their manifestation. So it's really easy to overlook some. For example, beliefs of I am not worthy of respect, or my needs are less important than that of other people, or people are going to judge me from my past, or people will always betray me. These are not directly related to love, but it could 100% tank someone's attempt at manifesting SP. So don't judge them, write them all down. The first time I did this, I think I managed to get down like 93 beliefs. It took like 20 minutes of writing, and over the next few days, like anytime I'd be thinking about them or doing the dishes or showering, if I remembered one, I would just write it down on my phone and put it on my list later. Once you have them, you should start to be able to notice, just by looking it over, the ones that are working against you. Now, these are the ones that you're going to want to change or discard. Now, to change them, we're going to employ the three-pronged method from Seth, who wrote my all-time favorite book on manifesting, The Nature of Personal Reality, which I think is the most comprehensive, complete book on the law that I've ever come across. So the first prong is, and I'm going to go over this in detail afterwards, so don't freak out if this feels like a huge info dump. But the first prong is you generate the emotion opposite from the one that arises from the belief that you want to change. The second one is you turn your imagination in the opposite direction from the one dictated by the belief. And the third one is you consciously assure yourself that the unsatisfactory belief is just an idea about reality and not an aspect of reality itself. So if your belief is, I am not worthy, then what emotions would you feel if you were worthy? You feel confident, you feel calm, happy, content, dignified, hopeful, empowered, or safe. And you'd imagine yourself being treated with respect by people at work, or your family, or your friends. You'd also imagine yourself feeling confident, stating your needs and having them respected. You'd imagine scenes where you're feeling supported, where you're being treated with like kindness and consideration and love. And the last prong is you would assure yourself that the old belief of I'm not worthy is just an idea about reality. It's not an actual fact or truth about reality itself. And you do this throughout the day. Like, don't turn this into work. You're not supposed to sit there and slave over doing this for hours a day. Just do it for a few moments here and there throughout the day when you remember it. Because this is how you build up the negative belief in the first place. Because no baby is born believing I'm not worthy or it's hard to make money in a recession. And because it took you some time to fully start to believe these negative beliefs, it might take some time for you to like phase out these negative beliefs and to replace them with these positive beliefs. But as you do this, you're going to start to become aware of how contradictory your thinking was. And that's usually the point at which people realize, oh, okay, so I wasn't doing everything perfectly. My mental diet wasn't on point as I thought it was. It was negative sometimes and I just didn't notice. Which is great, because these are the kinds of realizations that level you up as a manifester. And it's going to help you get a lot better at manifesting in the future. Now, even after you change some of your negative beliefs, I don't want you to throw out that list just yet. It's going to come in handy beyond just identifying and changing limiting beliefs. Because when you have that whole list, you're going to start to become aware of what your belief system is. You're going to start to see how you create your reality automatically according to all the neutral and positive beliefs that you wrote down. And this generally serves as like a huge unlock to a lot of people. A lot of aspects of your life are going to start to make sense because you're going to see how your positive beliefs reflect out like effortlessly and beautifully. You'll start to see how neutral beliefs affect your life in like good or bad ways depending. Now this belief curation is a lifelong process. So I started my list of beliefs on Google Docs a few years ago, so I have it all on record. And every few months I like to revisit the list and cross out the beliefs that I've managed to like change or do away with. And it's really a lot of fun to see our progress. So out of the first 93 beliefs I wrote down that first time, basically all of them were gone except for like 5. And those 5 are beliefs that I don't care to change. Like I think one of them is literally roller coasters aren't fun. But I love going back and reading all these old beliefs I used to have and seeing how I used to manifest my life according to these negative beliefs and like how they used to hold me back but they don't any longer. And it's this huge dopamine hit where you get to see your own progress over the years. And sometimes I see my old beliefs and I'm like, geez, I can't believe I used to think like that. And I got exactly what I believed. Like I used to live this rather narrow, anxiety-ridden life, and I can't imagine going back to how crappy things were. But my point is, this belief work is a massively helpful exercise that you can use for the rest of your life. Because our beliefs are always changing and evolving for better or worse. But once you start practicing the ability to recognize beliefs that work against you, you just start to get better and faster at it. Seth said that we're here to learn how to move our beliefs around to make the reality that you want. In the same way that children learn to like manipulate and stack blocks. And he said that when a child doesn't like what they've built with blocks, they just knock it down and start over. And then if we don't like what we've built so far, we should just be able to discard our beliefs or change them up just as easily. And to me, that means true mastery of the law of assumption. Because if assumptions make our world, then what better skill could there be than knowing how to find and change the assumptions into what you want them to be? So don't be discouraged, because remember, every negative belief that you change or get rid of, no matter how minor, will benefit your life in some way, even if it has nothing to do with your desire, because all of these beliefs have to reflect out. Each one that you get rid of will make your life all that much smoother, and it will make it easier to remove other beliefs that you don't want. You can think of it like a beaver dam. You've been doing the techniques to build up momentum and progress like water builds up in a lake. You just have a small handful of beliefs holding you back, the same way a beaver dam would hold back that lake. And each belief that you remove is like removing one section of the dam. Each piece you take away, you get more movement, more progress. Things start flowing faster and faster the more you remove, until you remove that one last piece and everything falls into place. Now, if you like this video and you want to better understand and transform your belief system, then check out this playlist I made where I dive into core concepts of how beliefs create reality and where I give you simple steps I found over the years to manifest faster and less painfully. Otherwise, YouTube thinks that you're going to enjoy watching this. I hope this helps you in some way. Thanks for watching. Happy manifesting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!